Hey y'all, welcome to the Clock Tower. I'm Colton, here with Brandon. 5 cards, 5 minutes, returns for more Fate Grand Order Babylonia. We're talking about uncommons, commons, and everything else. Brandon, what's the first card?
First up, we have the one who has seen everything Gilgamesh. So this character gets 1,000 power for each other Kelia and Babylonia character. And when this card direct attacks, you get to choose one character and put it into your stock. If you remember Cocytus from Overlord, it's kind of the same profile, but in this case, Gilgamesh. So the idea of playing with standby to be able to get this in early, to start just stock charging your way to victory.
Yeah, when you standby this into your front lane, it's hard for most stuff at levels 1 and 2 to get around this at base power, so if they have to crash into it, it opens up lanes for you to attack and gain stock. Interesting little profile for the Gilgamesh and or standby builds. Moving on, the second card that we have from the trial deck, Firm Courage Mosh. It's a level 0, 1,000 power. During your opponent's turn, if you have another Chaldea or Babylonia character, this card gains 3,000 power, and on play, you can pitch a Climax to salvage a character. We've seen Climax salvages at level 0 before. This is not a unique profile, but it's a good one, because it sits at 4,000 on your opponent's turn at level 0.
Yeah, for me, the big selling point is that 4,000 power on your opponent's turn. Getting zeros that are oversized on field to be able to force your opponents to essentially allow you, whether field plussing or elsewise, have characters live cross turn at 0. Very impressive, as well with that utility as well. Next up, we have Fierce Attack. The 3/2 event. Put the top 4 cards of your deck into your waiting room and deal X damage to your opponent. X is equal to the number of level 1 or higher cards from among them. Really interesting event. The idea that you can burn for damage based off of level 1 or higher cards, as opposed to climaxes or soul triggers, I think is a really interesting and neat opportunity. It definitely kind of comes in as kind of like fourth attacker kind of idea.
I like this a lot, probably more than I should. I've always loved these cheeky burn effects. I like this in particular because the number of level 1 or higher cards you're going to mill in that situation is usually going to be probably 2. Most decks run between 24 and 26 level 1 or higher cards, including characters and events. So there's definitely some opportunity here to stick some extra damage. I love the cheekiness of just slamming down an event and saying burn. Next, granting special rights Aresh Kagal. It's a 0/0 500 power. If you have another character, you can rest this and pay 1, and your opponent cannot use Encore until the end of turn. It also gives everything in front of it 500. You can also pay 2 and rest it to salvage 1. I love back row utility. Love it, love it, love it. And this is a really cheeky piece of tech. Lots of stuff has hand encore, especially those early play level 3s. The Mega Man Union combo needs them. Shizu from Slime. This counters all of those things by basically telling your opponent that they can't encore those things. Super interesting little piece.
It targets your opponent, so you don't have to worry about hexproof. You don't have to worry about the text necessarily on the cards in front of it, but it also has the ability to do other things other than just deny Encore. So if you're coming up against matchups that the denying of Encore isn't necessarily needed, being able to salvage in those matchups instead, I think actually plays into the deck really well to be able to guarantee a card from waiting room that you need maybe for that turn or for the next turn to get the cards you need into hand.
Emergency salvage is underrated.
And finally, we have Bribing a Goddess. This is a 1/1 event. Allows you to choose one of 2 actions, either put up to 2 cards from the top of your deck into stock, or choose one character from waiting room return to hand. So being a pay 1 free stock, or you're getting a character to hand for the cost of 1 stock. I think there could be ways to abuse this card. I want to see what those would look like.
It's sort of like a pay 1 choice trigger on a stick, almost. Not quite, because the stock is blind. But I could see someone slamming down a couple of these on their final turn to ramp up to get their combo off, especially one of the more expensive combos. And it also plays nicely with the Ishtar combo at the end where you need to pay 2, pitch 2. If you put this down, you can get whichever piece you happen to need. And I like it when the developers think outside the box, especially when it comes to events. So that's it for us. Hopefully you liked 5 cards, 5 minutes in its debut month with Fate Grand Order. We'll be back next month with Rose and Bonds. My deck next week. Clock Talk the week after that. Until then, thank you for joining us, and have a good one.
We'll see you then.